I've succumbed to the TEMU overlords. In this video, I bought 10 TEMU tools for less than £10. I've never bought from TEMU before. I am not sponsored by them. Are the tools actually a scam or are they a bargain? So the first thing is this sandpaper dispenser. Now this came in at a price at £7.42. And I've actually never seen one of these before. And to me, they actually look quite convenient. You got 150 grit, 240, 320, 400, and this comes in like a little roll, like almost like toilet roll, although you probably don't want to use it as toilet roll. 1-inch strips, 20-foot long rolls, and just quite simply you pull it out, get some scissors, cut it, and there you go, you got your little piece of sandpaper. In a pinch, if you just need it, rub down some glue residue, or you just need to get around some uneven surfaces, then that's quite ideal. I would recommend that. £7.42, I'll probably get that again. The next thing I've got is this itty bitty 1 meter long tape measure. It's also got a key ring on it, so you can take it to work and show your colleagues how small your tape measure is. That's how big it is in comparison to my hand. Now they do actually get smaller than this, although this one seems to be a tad better quality. It's also got a stop here. Let's just see how accurate it is actually compared to a real tape measure. All right, so the first thing I'll measure is the small tape measure. Let's go for 10 centimeters. And then I've got a Stanley. And then if I see where that line's actually finished, if I do a line next to it. So this mark at the top is the one from the TEMU tape. This one at the bottom is the Stanley. I mean, for what it is, I think it's pretty much the same. It's not too bad. The tape itself, it is very cheap. I mean, you get what you pay for, but you can see there's like kinks in the tape. In fact, you can actually bend it if you put enough pressure, and then it holds that bend. So if you want some 90-degree angles, hit me up. The numbers are accurate. I would prefer the yellow background instead of white, but it is what it is. The tab that's on the end here, I'm finding that because this tape is so thin, when you try and connect it, it just kind of wants to bounce off a little bit. It does catch, and you have to get at a really good angle, but you're finding that it's wanting to pull up like that from the wood. So for 81 pence, you're not going to be doing any fine woodworking with it, let's be honest. I wouldn't recommend taking that to a job site because you'll probably get bullied off it. Get 2 or 3 of these, dump them around the house, put them in your car, take them to work, give them to your newborn child. I'd say they're worth it. The next thing I've got are these plug cutters, and these came in at a cost of £4.86. If you've never seen these before, they're almost like a make your own dowel kit. You get 8 bits within a pack. 4 of them are for tapered dowels and the other 4 are for making straight cut dowels. Now I think these are actually supposed to go into a drill press rather than a power drill, but I don't have a drill press, so I guess we're gonna break the law. What is that? Look how they butchered my boy. Let me try that again. It's not made a bad hole, but it's made a terrible dowel. It looks pretty butchered, I'm not gonna lie. Let me try a bigger bit and see if we can get a better looking dowel than that, because that just looks almost like a twiglet, if you know what they are. It's a little bit rough around the edges. There's a little bit of a scuff around the edges on the top here. I don't know if that's down to user error. It could be that you need to put this into a drill press to get a good result. Let's make a few holes. We'll fill them in with these dowels and see if we can actually get a good fit. This is exactly where them little sandpaper bits come in handy. I think it's done a pretty good job. There's no gaps. Of course, you can see the very faint line of glue around the edge, but to be honest, for what it is softwood as well. That's pretty good. Let's just see if it works into a really thick piece of sapele. It's not bad. It's not good. I suppose if you're in a pinch, that'll probably be ideal. If you need to make a dowel out of a certain wood, you could probably get away with it. Is it a case of if you just use a drill press, you're going to get a much better finish? Probably, but who knows? Would I recommend these drill bits? If you got a better finish with a drill press, then Possibly. I got the impression that they were starting to get blunt very quickly after just a couple of dowels. So I'm probably going to recommend these if you're really in a pinch and you desperately need a dowel. Other than that, I probably won't buy these again. The next thing I've got is a pencil. I only paid £1.94 for this. You've probably seen this kind of design before. They're very popular. I think the main leader in this is Pica or Picker, but what I really like is how easy they are to use. You've got a clip at the top if you want to click that onto your belt, and you just press the button at the top and that ejects the lead. Hold the button down, you can pull the lead all the way out, you can replace them. It does also come with 6 spare leads, so this will last you, well, for me, it'll probably last me months, if not even a year. But another really good thing about why I like this pencil is at the top bit, if I take the tip off, it's actually got a tiny little pencil sharpener in there. So you can eject the lead, sharpen it up, and put the lid back on, and you can use it again, and it's nice and sharp all the way, and you don't have to faff about or trying to find a pencil sharpener. Now, this wouldn't be a TEMU video without having a knockoff woodpecker's tool in there. This is an 8-inch anodized aluminium, I believe, square. I only paid £6.81 for it. If this can perform anything like a woodpecker square, then I think we might be onto something. So for a square to be a good square, it needs to be square. Very fine pencil here, run it down the edge, and then I'm going to turn it over and repeat the same thing as close to that line as I can. So what you're looking for with this test to see if there's any deviation from the start line and the second line to the end here. And you can see that the distance between both lines is pretty uniform down the end, which tells me that this is actually quite straight. So I'm quite impressed with that. So I tried the test a few more times. I got some pretty good results here. And even when I butt up the square to my current square, it's square. So I'm quite content in saying that this is good enough for what it is. So if we look at all of these holes, you can see that we start at 0 here, and the first hole is actually 1 millimeter. They go up in 1 millimeters. So if you put the pen into this hole, it's 1 millimeter, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. So you got a guide for every millimeter on this ruler. So let's say 20 millimeters, and then you run the square up your workpiece, and it should make a line. Now I should be looking for 20 millimeters, so let's give that a look. And yeah, absolutely bang on. Wow, I am impressed, to say the least. Let's just see that the numbers are actually accurate as well. They are just as accurate. Guys, I got myself a new woodpecker's tool. For £6.81, this is an absolute bargain. This is the best one yet. You can get multiple sizes on their website. This one is the 8-inch. But I'm going to recommend this one 100%. The next thing I've got is this right-angled square, or at least I think that's what it's called. All it says on it is drawing line ruler on it. I'm not calling it that. And this came in at a cost of £3.79. So let's give it a go. Really, this thing just looks like a fancy square edge. So you can butt it up against the wood, make your mark. But the whole thing for this is that you can actually then follow it down the side. Then you should get a right angled line that's uniform with the top one. It's probably quite a niche use for some, but there was a time where I would have liked that. I did half lap joints for one of my previous builds, and I wanted a line that went straight all the way down the side, and then I wanted a line there where I could cut this piece out. So to be able to actually make a uniform line, this is where that would have come in handy. It's also got a 45-degree angle, so let's just see if that's actually 45 degrees. Using my new woodpecker square, there's a very slight deviation. Let me try and draw that line again in case that was human error. In fact, let's use a mechanical pencil for this. It was just user error, so uniform lines, so it is actually square. I've got my own square here, so let's see if that's a 45 degree. Same thing again, equal spacing, 45-degree angle. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a very small gap that starts to peel away at the end here. So it's not entirely square, and that might come down to when you first get this, you've got to put the 2 bolts in here to assemble it. So that might just be that slight deviation from that. But in all, it's still pretty good. For what it is, £3.79, I'm going to recommend it. The next thing I've got is this drill guide, and this comes in at a cost of £8.65. And the idea is that it comes with 6 different size adapters, and you screw that in at the top for different size drill bits, and you can drill straight vertically down without it deviating anywhere. It's a lot bigger than I thought from looking at the website, but let's give it a go. So this thing's about just over 2 inches tall, so by the time you actually get your drill bit in, you're going to lose 2 inches off your drill bit, so you're not actually going to get much drill space there unless you've got a really long drill bit. Right, so the test is I've used the right angled guide, and I've actually made a line that goes all the way around this piece of wood, and I'm hoping if I drill through straight at the top using the guide, it'll come out exactly on that line as well. Pretty much right. I mean, we're slightly more forward this way on this side, but then I have done the same on this one. So in all, I know there's only about 1.5 inches there to actually work with, but I think that's pretty good enough. It was wobbling back and forth a little bit as I started drilling. I don't know if that made much impact, but it's just a bit of a mission to try and hold that piece down. It would have been nice if there's some kind of rubber or some kind of friction where you can actually hold that down in place and it doesn't move. But again, I don't think it made much difference. Now there are side divots to this, so I wonder if that's actually to come in at an angle as well. So let's try that. So this is the hole it left, and it left a very clean entry. I couldn't fault that whatsoever. I mean, it felt horrible to hold down. I felt like I was really having to push into the wood, but all in all, it's actually quite impressive. For £8.65, I'm gonna give that a thumbs up. The next thing I've got is this sanding block, and this came in at a cost of £2.24. I've actually got this exact same one I bought off Amazon last year, and the one I bought off Amazon cost me £10. It's almost like a hard foam. There are little divots for your fingers for extra comfort. Hook and loop system, put it on, sand, and then you can take the disc right off again. It's as simple as that, and using it for about a year now, I'd recommend. The next thing I've got is this miniature hand plane. This thing is absolutely tiny, and it only costed me £8.52. It's about as bog standard as it comes. You can take the blade out, sharpen it if you need to. I don't know how sharp the blade is now, so let's give it a go. Let's start off with something quite easy. So this is just regular pine. Oh, look at them shavings. Look at that. I've never actually used a miniature hand plane before, so this is actually really fun. Look at that, it's so good. So it looks like you can loosen this, loosen that, and then take the whole blade out. And it's got like a magnet at the top. That's what that sits in, so it sort of gyros in that little hole. Oh, what just came off there? That just fell out, and I don't know where that came from. Yeah, I'm just gonna hope that wasn't important. It looks really good. That gold bit there is what fits into the, or 2 parts of the blade. And you can see how that magnet just sort of sits in that little groove bit there. So I've set it to about as deep as it will go. So let's try that. Whoa. Wow. Now don't get me wrong, this is no Lee Nielsen, but this is cutting through it like butter. That is pretty good. Let's try it with a harder wood. Right, so I've got some sapele again, let's try that. A little bit more friction there. Yeah. In fact, you might be able to hear it. It's almost like it's tearing rather than cutting. I'm still getting really nice shavings, but the actual finish itself, it feels a bit more rough. Let me see if I can reduce the blade depth. Oh, that's a lot better. That's the shaving that came off. So that's pretty good. So the finish at the start was really good, but then I found that as it went on, it was almost like I was tearing the fibers away rather than actually cutting a nice shaving. You can see it sort of starts from here, where the surface gets a little bit more rough. I mean, it's not terrible. Give that a quick sand and you're good as gold, but I'd probably stick to softwoods. For straight out of the box, this thing cuts like butter. If I wanted a better result on the hardwood, I'd probably sharpen the blade myself, but the results of the softwood, unbelievable. For £8.52, I'm gonna recommend it. And then the last thing we've got is this circle jig. And this also costs £8.52, and I think the clue is in the name what it does. It looks really good. It's got that woodpecker's finish again, and it looks pretty well built. It didn't come with any instructions. I had to refer back to the pictures on the listing, but let's give it a go. So you will need a palm router for this, and you're just gonna attach it to this base here. So you've got like a measuring graph here, and you want to undo these two little bolts, and then you can move this back and forth, and there's a hole you can see in the middle there, and that's for a 3mm nail. I don't really want my circle to be that big, so I'm just gonna tighten up there. I've got my nail. So now it should spin in a circle. And that's how we're gonna make our circle. So I've got a spiral upcutting bit for this. So it's all set. I'll put some wax on the bottom of the frame just to help it glide along. I'm gonna do multiple passes, I think. Let's give it a go. So it started off really good, but this tightening system here, with all the vibration from the router, it actually started to peel away and actually came more further up the graph. And even if I really tighten them down, I'm gonna see if it'll correct itself. I've tightened that down as hard as I can now. And if that still vibrates and moves upwards, then this is a piece of junk. So that's the result. Pretty good on all. There's a couple of gouges here when I first put the router in, so that's where like the gouges come from. It's a bit finicky to try and set up, and I probably won't use it that often. I definitely wouldn't use it to cut a final shape of a table that you're making, but if you're looking for just like a circular jig or a circular piece of wood like this, that'll probably do ya. One last thing with this jig is that it comes with a stop block as well, which you can butt up against the edge of a workpiece, and then you can run your router along that, and it keeps it uniform. For £8.52, I'd say I'd recommend that. I'd only use it if I was gonna make jigs and just things that weren't on show. I wouldn't use it on like a final table project, that's for sure. But for what it is, I think I'm gonna recommend it. And that is the end of the video. Overall, my expectations in going to this video were really low. I did not think I was gonna be as impressed as I have with some of these tools. Saying that, I have to say again, I'm not sponsored. I bought all of these tools with my own money, and I think I've just been humbled. If you like this video, then please consider liking and subscribing. I am a very small channel still. I've only got just over 1,000 subscribers, so every sort of like helps. And if you want to see another one of these videos, I'm also going to do another one on my channel. It was super fun to make, and I want to see if I can make it into a series. Maybe we'll do tools under 20 quid instead next time. If you enjoyed it, then like it. If you didn't, then like it. But until then, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.